The moment those words left my mouth, I knew I had crossed a line that jokes should never cross. It was one of those careless, foolish things you say when you are young, sitting on the couch with your best friend, trying to be funny. But sometimes a joke does not simply echo around the room. Sometimes it changes the direction of your life forever. Before we dive into this story, take a moment to like the video, leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life can change us. My name is Ryan Carter, and 10 years ago, in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio, I learned that one reckless sentence could shatter everything I thought understood about love, loyalty, and growing up. Back then, I was 22 years old. I was still trying to figure out my life. I worked part-time at an auto repair shop and took evening classes at a local community college. My best friend, Marcus Bennett, had been in my life since high school. We played basketball together, survived boring classes together, and spent countless weekends wasting time at each other's houses. Marcus lived with his mother, Vanessa Bennett, in a modest brick house on the edge of town. His father had left when he was little, so for years it had always been just the two of them. I was there so often that the place felt like a second home to me. Vanessa was the kind of woman people noticed when she entered a room. Not because she tried to stand out, but because she carried herself with quiet confidence. She worked as a nurse at the local hospital, raised Marcus on her own, and somehow still managed to remain calm, warm, and graceful. To me, she had always been just Marcus's mom. At least, that was what I kept telling myself. One warm Friday evening in early fall, Marcus and I were sitting in his living room watching a game on television. Pizza boxes were scattered across the coffee table, and empty soda cans sat nearby. It was one of those relaxed nights when nothing important seemed likely to happen. Vanessa had just come home from work and walked through the room on her way to the kitchen. She was still wearing her nurse's uniform. Her dark hair was loosely tied back, and although she looked tired, there was something graceful about her. Her presence alone made the room feel calmer. Marcus made some sarcastic comment about her still being in her work clothes, and without thinking, without even trying to filter my thoughts, I laughed and said the sentence that changed everything. I joked that his mom was hotter than most of the girls I had dated. The room fell silent. Marcus stared at me as if I had insulted his entire family. My stomach dropped instantly. I realized what I had said. I began laughing awkwardly, trying to brush it off as a stupid joke. Then Vanessa stopped in the doorway. She looked at me with an expression I could not fully read. It was not anger. It was not embarrassment. It was curiosity. And then she said something I never expected to hear. She asked if I wanted to go on a date with her. At first, I thought she was joking. Marcus laughed nervously, clearly assuming the same thing. But Vanessa did not laugh. She simply looked at me and said she was serious. The moment stretched into an uncomfortable silence that felt like it lasted forever. I could feel Marcus watching me, waiting for me to say something that would return the world to normal. But nothing about that moment felt normal anymore. I mumbled something about how I had only been joking, how I had not meant anything by it. Vanessa gave a small smile, shrugged, and said that sometimes jokes reveal more truth than people realize. Then she walked down the hallway to her room, leaving Marcus and me sitting in a heavy, stunned silence. For the rest of that evening, Marcus barely spoke to me. And honestly, I did not blame him. But after that night, something strange happened. I could not stop thinking about what Vanessa had said. At first, it was confusion. Then it became curiosity. And eventually, it turned into something deeper, something I did not want to admit even to myself. Vanessa was not just Marcus's mother. She was a woman who had lived an entire life filled with struggles I still did not understand. A woman who had raised her son alone, worked long hospital shifts, and somehow remained kind, strong, and composed. Over the next few weeks, I started coming to Marcus's house less often. Partly because I felt guilty, and partly because I did not know how to act around either of them. But one evening, I stopped by to pick up a tool I had accidentally left there, and I ran into Vanessa outside the house. She was watering a small garden near the porch. We started talking. At first, it was casual. Work, school, life in general. But little by little, the conversation shifted into something deeper. She told me how lonely life could become after spending so many years completely devoted to raising a child. She spoke about the dreams she had put aside and how strange it felt to watch Marcus become an adult. I listened in a way I had never truly listened before. For the first time, I did not see her as my friend's mother. I saw her as a person. Over the next month, those short conversations happened again and again. Sometimes they lasted 5 minutes. Sometimes 20. We never mentioned that joke again, but the tension quietly lingered beneath every conversation. Until one evening, she finally said something that made my heart beat faster. She told me that life does not follow simple rules about age or expectations. Sometimes people meet each other at unexpected moments. She said that if I had ever truly meant what I joked about that night, then I needed to be honest with myself. Then she went back into the house. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about Marcus, about loyalty, and about the invisible boundaries friendship creates. But I also could not stop thinking about Vanessa's eyes when she spoke, calm, thoughtful, and strangely full of hope. A week later, I asked Marcus to talk. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life. I told him that nothing inappropriate had happened, that I respected him, and that I valued our friendship more than almost anything in the world. But I also admitted something that shocked even me. I told him that I might be starting to have feelings for his mother. Marcus reacted exactly the way anyone would expect. He was furious. For a long time, he refused to speak to me. Weeks turned into months, and the friendship we had built over the years seemed to disappear completely. That was one of the most painful periods of my life. I questioned everything. My choices, my intentions, and whether there are boundaries in life that should simply never be crossed. During that time, Vanessa and I barely spoke either. She did not want to damage my relationship with Marcus any further. But slowly, something unexpected began to happen. Marcus started to notice how lonely his mother truly was. He saw the quiet evenings she spent alone after work, the way she tried to hide her exhaustion, and how much of her life had been completely devoted to him. One evening, almost 6 months later, Marcus called me. His voice sounded calmer than I expected. He told me something that has stayed with me ever since. He said that if I ever hurt his mother, he would never forgive me. But if I truly cared about her, then maybe life was more complicated than he wanted to believe. A year later, Vanessa and I went on our first official date. It was not dramatic or glamorous. We simply had dinner at a quiet restaurant in Cleveland, Ohio, and talked for hours about everything, from childhood memories to the strange turns life throws at people. It was real. And sometimes real love does not look the way people expect. Now, before we reach the end of this story, I have a small request for everyone watching this video. If you have ever lived through a moment when life surprised you, when one simple moment changed everything, write the word unexpected in the comments. Because sometimes the strongest stories begin with something we never planned. Today, 10 years later, Marcus and I are still close friends. The road was not easy. There were arguments, awkward holidays, and many moments when all of us wondered whether we had made the right choices. But time has a strange way of softening even the sharpest edges. Eventually, Marcus came to understand something important. Love does not follow neat rules. It grows in strange places, during unexpected conversations, and sometimes even after the most uncomfortable joke imaginable. Vanessa and I are married now. And from time to time, when the three of us sit together laughing about old memories, Marcus reminds me of the night when everything began. The night I told the stupidest joke of my life. The night that changed everything. And if this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes the most unexpected moments lead us to the most meaningful life.